Hey, what's up, everybody? Josh Bennett here. So basically, you've been lied to over the past year, 2 years, etc. So right now, stock markets are at all-time valuations. Pretty much any way you look at it, they're at all-time highs. No matter what valuation metric you use. But the rhetoric still has been, oh, stocks are going to the moon, like AMC's going to the moon, Tesla's going to the moon, Tesla can never fall. It's going to continue getting 10+% returns year over year because, the increase in technology, all these different rhetorics are kind of hitting the market. Well, frankly, I think you've been lied to. Whether it's you've been lied to directly by the CEOs themselves, or the executives themselves, or analysts, or just friends, families, and people that have kind of drank the Kool-Aid. I think you've been lied to, and the reason for that is right now we are at record amounts of top executives. So the people that have lots of money at stake in these companies, as well as the people that have sort of insider information in these companies, are selling at record amounts. To me, that indicates that's not a good sign of things to come. For example, we have Larry Page and Sergey Brin selling from Google. You have all these different CEOs and executives selling, and they've basically 48 of the top executives in the country have sold and gained over $200 million each in terms of stock sales. So that's a big chunk of money that they're taking out of their own companies that they're supposed to be, vested in. And why would a CEO that has insider information or insights into the future of the company be selling the stock? If they think their stock can outperform anything else, their company can outperform anything else, why would they be selling? So there's really only two reasons that I can see right now. One is tax proposals that have been going through with the Build Back Better and the infrastructure bill. They've been proposing much higher capital gains taxes on affluent, which basically means that if you're rich and have a lot of stock, you could be taxed at heavier amounts. That could be a possibility, but the wealthy are notorious for not selling their stock and borrowing against it, so that way it's not taxable ever. So they just kind of hold their stock in perpetuity. So that's kind of a notorious thing that typically happens behind the scenes. So if that's the case, then the tax bill piece shouldn't have too much of an impact. Obviously, it has some, because that's around the time we saw the tick up. So there is some correlation there. It may not be causation, but there is some correlation into wondering why they're necessarily selling at the same time the tax proposals are coming out. But Congress also said those would be retroactive, so it doesn't necessarily make sense. So my theory is that if I'm CEO of a large company and I know the future prospects and where the valuations are at today, I'm the CEO of or an executive of a large company. I'm obviously a smart individual, so I can see the writing on the wall, and I can see that, hey, my returns are better in something besides my company right now. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to sell my stock in my company right now and move it into something I believe can get better returns. And that's what I think is happening across the board. And where I think you've been lied to and misled is I think there's some falsities that are going out in the market. So for example, if we look at just what happened with Elon Musk and Tesla. So Elon Musk, if you haven't been familiar with the situation, posted on Twitter that, much as lately has made of that unrealized capital gain, so I'm going to propose selling my 10% share of Tesla stock. Do you support this? And he basically said, I will abide by results, whichever way it goes, etc. But, kind of came to fruition that he had actually placed a 10b5-1 plan on 9/14. So a lot of those trades were already set up to go out automatically before he ever did this poll. So basically, he had already started trading Tesla before making this announcement. I'm not necessarily claiming market manipulation here, but I'm not claiming market manipulation here. Because, Elon Musk is one of the smartest humans on the planet, and, he understands human behavior. He's been sort of manipulating the crypto markets and things like that, and I would venture to bet he's, getting some gains off of that. But if I'm looking at Elon Musk and seeing that he had already placed trades, well, something that could easily tip a high value company is the idea that the CEO and the founder no longer has faith in the company, is selling shares. Especially, I don't know this for a fact, but I recall that him saying in the past that he would never sell shares of Tesla. So all of a sudden he's changing tune when Tesla's at one of the highest valuations of a company in history, and far exceeding any of the car manufacturers out there, and far exceeding most of the tech companies out there too. So to me, he basically has determined, okay, my company is extremely overvalued. I can get a lot more for my stock today than I could in the future. Well, if I start selling and want to get out of the stock, well, it could cause people to lose faith in my company, and it could cause the stock to deteriorate in value, aka make less money. So if I'm, thinking logically, I would say, all right, well, how can I sustain the value of the stock? Well, I can make it look like it's not me wanting to sell the stock, it's me being forced to sell the stock. Because when he made this poll, I'd be shocked if he didn't think that everyone would tell him, to go ahead and sell. I would be shocked if that wasn't the case, because most of the Tesla fan base are very liberal skewing and are very in favor of taxing the rich. So to me, that makes sense that, not to get into kind of a political conversation, but that makes sense that he kind of knows his target audience, he knows his demographic, so he knew what the answer to that poll would be before he ever placed it. So if I'm looking to sustain the value of the stock and sell 10% of my company, well, this is a very smart and logical way to do that with trying to sustain the value of the stock. Because once he puts in that 10b5-1 plan, if you're not familiar, 10b5-1 plan is how executives and people that have an instrumental part of a company can sell their shares, because they can't just go sell it like you and I, because they have insider information, and so it has to be more systematic. So this is his way of kind of having a systematic plan in place. But once that systematic plan is in place, it looks like, hey, I don't believe in my company anymore. Well, again, this is how you sort of combat that. So again, this could be all just in my head, could be, nothing at all. But to me, it does raise some red flags, and it's obviously raised some red flags with other people, because there's been talks of him coming under SEC regulation or SEC scrutiny and things like that. So again, who knows? And Elon Musk, if you're watching this, please don't sue me. This is just my opinion and my speculation. But yeah, it's one of those things that you see this kind of happening across the board with executives, and it makes you wonder where, all right, even though the rhetoric out there is still very bullish and people are still believing that massive returns can come from these companies, well, if the executives don't believe it, why should you? So if you're holding stocks, you should definitely do some due diligence into whether the companies you're holding, if the executives have been selling more so than normal. If they have, that might be an indication that it's time to abandon ship yourself. But anyways, hope you found this valuable. I'll put some links to articles down below so you can kind of see, the Wall Street Journal did a paper on, who all selling and stuff like that, just so you can kind of start educating yourself. But if you have any questions, definitely drop a line in the comments. Otherwise, make sure you subscribe for more information like this. All right, cheers.